Hello everyone, welcome to Math Musings channel. My name is Alexander. Today is part 4 of our Playing with Fractions series, and today's topics is two wholes, two fractions. We already saw in the previous videos how we introduce two addition operations, how we introduce two zeros, 0 and dual 0, how we introduce two infinities, and infinity and dual infinity, how we introduce dual decimals in addition to standard decimals. Today we will focus on specific notion of a fraction itself. This is a topic that we need to cover in order to make the whole picture complete. Let's recall from decimals and from dual decimals video that when we talk about 5, we imagine it as a number consisting of 5 ones, and this is our standard view. We used to it, and we represent it as a decimal as 5.0. When it comes to dual decimal, I found it that the key concept, the key moment to comprehend here is that 5 consists of 2 tens. So that's not 10 consists of 2 5s, it's 5 consists of 2 tens. This is why dual decimal for 5 will be 2.0. So to focus on this key moment, let's consider these 4 equations, and we'll focus on relations between parts and wholes here, or in other words, between integers and fractions. Let's start from first equation. So here 1 is equal to 5 components that are summed up together. So 1 is a whole here, and it consists of 1/5, right? So 1/5 is a part, or in another word is a fraction. At the same time, for dual plus operation, we can write that 1/5 consists of ones. So here 1/5 is a whole that consists of ones, so 1 is a fraction. Let's note it special way. Let's say that it's a fraction but in a dual sense, and it is a whole but in a dual sense, and here I use hat on the top to know the standard semantics. So what we see here is that what is whole for one operation is actually a fraction for the other operation, and what is a fraction for the first operation, it's a whole for dual operation. So we can write here in terms of properties of so integer and fraction are properties of objects. So in terms of these properties, we can write that whole in standard semantics is the same as a fraction in a dual semantics, and fraction in a standard semantics is the same as whole in a dual semantics. So to read the other two equations, let's recall that we already used in the previous videos for fractions like 1/6, or let's say 1/n, we often use a notation n/1 to emphasize the symmetry instead of just simple n. So we call 1 over n a fraction, so has to be n over 1, and this is clearly visible in this first equation. So if we consider dual addition operation, then 1 will consist of these 5's, right? So it means that 5 over 1 is a fraction of 1, and 1 is a whole here, but it is a dual fraction, dual whole. And on the bottom we should read it as 5 as a whole in a normal sense equal to a number of fractions in a normal sense, but these fractions are actually dual of wholes, so the notion, the errors here are the same as the previous two equations. So this is the relations between part and wholes, or between integers and fractions. We see that one is dual of the other. So now we can just introduce something called dual natural numbers. We saw that 1 over n is called fraction in a standard sense, and we saw that this is whole in a dual sense. For this one, we saw that this is integer. Let me just use that this is whole number in a standard sense, but we also saw that this is a fraction in a dual sense. So for these numbers, n over 1, standard notation is just n, and we say they are natural numbers. I will note this as n with head on top. And for these ones on the left, we can just invent a new notation. We can say they are natural numbers, but in the sense of duals. So this is the dual natural number. So I think this is enough for today. That's a small part that completes the picture and make everything symmetric in our binary fractions, and this is the step that we need to move on to non-binary fractions that will be described in future lectures. This was Akamas Musings channel, and my name is Alexander. If you like this video, please press the 2 buttons and wait for the next video. Bye bye.